Did Yu Long just confess his love in public? The moment that melted millions. It all began at the Hong Jin Short Film Gala, a night drenched in glitter, cameras, and the scent of red roses. Dozens of stars paraded across the carpet, each striking their perfect poses. Then, Yu Long and Yong Mimi appeared. The crowd's roar softened into silence as they walked, side by side, radiating ease and quiet confidence. When Yong Mimi turned and kissed Yu Long's cheek, the world seemed to stop spinning for half a second. It wasn't the kind of kiss meant to shock. It was tender, spontaneous, and filled with unspoken truth. And in that heartbeat of vulnerability, they became more than actors. They became a story, a living heartbeat beneath the bright lights. The internet erupted not because it was scandalous, but because it felt human. That's the power of authenticity. It doesn't need to scream, it whispers, and the world still listens. Every love story needs contrast to spark electricity, and theirs was visual poetry in motion. Yu Long, tall and steady at 185 centimeters, embodied calm strength. Yong Mimi, petite and graceful, was the perfect counterbalance, lively, bright, effervescent. When they stood together, it wasn't just a picture. It was balance made visible. Photographers noticed the way he subtly leaned toward her, instinctively closing the distance, and how she'd tilt her head upward with a sparkle of mischief. The height difference, their synchronized movements, it was as if gravity itself wanted them closer. People weren't just seeing beauty, they were witnessing connection. And that's what keeps replaying in fans' minds, the quiet harmony that says, these two belong. Even still images of that night seem alive, radiating emotion through every pixel. Rewind the clock to when they first met, two professionals cast together, polite smiles, and respectful distance. Yu Long was the epitome of composure, focused, serious, a perfectionist. Yong Mimi was his opposite, playful, curious, endlessly warm. They began as co-stars, became collaborators, and slowly, without realizing, confidants. On long shooting days, he'd wait to walk her to her car. On sleepless nights before premieres, she'd send voice notes cheering him on. What started as quiet gestures became habits, and habits became attachment. By the time they worked on their fourth project, insiders whispered that they no longer acted love, they simply remembered it. Their friendship had evolved into a rhythm of trust, laughter, and comfort. Something neither fame nor schedules could script. 9 years might seem like a small number, but in showbiz, it's often a wall. Critics predicted imbalance, yet Yu Long and Yong Mimi turned it into their strength. He brought patience and emotional steadiness, she brought creativity and fearless optimism. Together, they redefined what romance looks like in a new generation, one built not on sameness, but on synergy. Their partnership spoke to something deeper, love that matures through contrast, not convenience. In interviews, Yong Mimi laughed, he slows me down just enough to breathe, while Yu Long admitted, she reminds me what it feels like to dream again. That harmony, the way they complete each other without losing themselves, became a quiet revolution. Suddenly, age was no longer a gap, it was a bridge connecting two souls who meet in the middle, where respect lives. Under the sharp buzz of camera flashes, their moment unfolded like a live scene from an unwritten romance film. Yong Mimi leaned in, Yu Long froze, eyes wide, then flushed scarlet. The audience gasped, and in that gasp, a narrative changed. For years, stars had avoided vulnerability. Every smile measured, every gesture calculated. But here was rawness. The video clip spread like wildfire, millions of views in hours. Comment sections overflowed with disbelief and adoration. This isn't acting, this is love. It wasn't about fame anymore. It was about two people caught off guard by their own emotions. And in an industry where love often hides behind PR walls, that single cheek kiss tore them all down. Fans didn't just see romance, they saw courage, the courage to be real when the world is watching. What made this moment echo so deeply wasn't the beauty of the gesture, it was the truth behind it. Audiences are tired of curated perfection.
Die grave Reality, Sincerity, so meeting unfiltert.
Yu Long and Yong Mimi offered exactly that. Her smile wasn't rehearsed, his blush wasn't timed. People saw themselves in that vulnerability, the nervousness before confessing, the excitement of being truly seen. Their chemistry became a mirror reflecting every unsaid emotion we all wish to experience. Online forums exploded with fans saying, When he looked at her, I remembered what first love feels like. It wasn't celebrity worship, it was emotional resonance. Their authenticity restored faith that even in an industry built on illusion, truth can still steal the spotlight. Beyond the glamour, colleagues describe them as equals who thrive on collaboration. They challenge each other's ideas, push creative limits, and value listening as much as speaking. On set, Yu Long isn't the brooding alpha stereotype, he's the quiet anchor making sure everyone feels supported. Young Mimi, though bubbly, has a laser-sharp focus that impresses even senior directors. Their partnership isn't about who leads or follows, it's about co-creation. That's rare in any industry, let alone entertainment. And perhaps that's the secret of their magnetic pull. They bring out the best in each other, personally and professionally. Theirs isn't just a love story. It's a blueprint for modern relationships, where admiration fuels affection and respect becomes the truest form of romance. What captivated millions wasn't only their intimacy, it was how honestly human it felt. Viewers didn't just watch a kiss, they witnessed connection breaking free from the constraints of image. Their story became a reminder of what real affection looks like in an age of performance. In talk shows, psychologists even analyzed the phenomenon, calling it collective emotional recall. The way two people's sincerity can awaken dormant feelings in others. For fans scrolling late at night, their moment wasn't just gossip, it was escapism, hope, even healing. They reminded the world that love isn't lost, it's simply hiding behind screens waiting to be rediscovered. And that's what makes their story timeless. It's less about fame, more about feeling. Perfection is easy to fake, but sincerity isn't. And that's why Yu Long and Young Mimi's story lingers. It's imperfectly perfect. His nervous laugh, her fearless charm, the way they meet in the middle, it all feels beautifully human. Love, they showed us, doesn't need to be polished. It needs to be present. Even months later, fans replay that video not for the glamour, but for the raw truth it holds. In that tiny frame of time, we saw two souls collide. No script, no filter, just emotion. Their moment whispers a universal message. Vulnerability is strength, honesty is beauty, and sometimes the smallest act, a kiss, a blush, can echo louder than words. That's not just romance.
That's real life.
And there you have it, the kiss that didn't just light up a carpet, but reignited belief in real connection. Maybe that's why we keep watching it again and again. It's not just about celebrities, it's about us. About the way love sneaks up, surprises us, and makes the world shimmer for a second. Thank you for joining LVT Showbiz, where we dive deeper than headlines and explore the hearts behind fame. If this story touched you, made you smile, or reminded you that authenticity still exists, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Do you think Yu Long and Young Mimi's relationship is a modern fairy tale, or just the prologue of something even greater?
Your voice matters.
Until next time, keep watching, keep believing, and remember, sometimes the brightest stars shine when they stop pretending and simply start loving. See you in the next episode, only on LVT Showbiz.